wonderful. And nice gift. Very nice.
Explore Theora Hamlet's captivating paintings that bring Mississippi to life. The guest grew up in Oxford, Mississippi, where Theora Hamlet, an artist known for her distinctive paintings, lived. Hamlet was not very social and was often seen sitting on her porch. She only began painting at the age of 50, having previously been a schoolteacher and running a rooming house. Her work was widely recognized in Oxford. One particular painting, created for a Baptist preacher's family, depicted his two daughters. The guest received the painting from a friend, a gift for their daughter, who has dark hair. Hamlet's artwork often features trees with stripped foliage, vibrant colors, and sometimes children or visionary elements like butterflies. The paintings are usually done in oil on canvas, and Hamlet's works are signed with a copyright mark to prevent reproduction. Upon her death, Hamlet left her house and around 600 paintings to the university, which now houses the largest collection of her work. According to the appraiser, this is what the worth of her work is.
Last year, several have sold in the range of between $15,000 and $25,000.
This is what the appraiser had to say about the worth of this piece.
$6,000 and $8,000 range. That's wonderful. And nice gift. Very nice.
Stop.
Well, you better put it up on a pedestal now.
What started as a flea market find from Florida turned out to be a surprising treasure. The guest said that their grandmother bought the piece in Florida. She found it at a flea market or garage sale for $15 to $20.
He could be a writer, but we figured he probably wasn't.
Well, one of the problems that you had when you were looking him up was that his first name is Pierre.
The purchase was motivated by the family's interest in Greek and Roman mythology. The appraiser noted the guest had looked up Emile Herbert but found little information. They assumed Herbert might be a writer. The appraiser clarified the artist's actual name was Pierre Emile Herbert. Herbert was a well-known neoclassical artist. The piece was bronze with gold door inlays. The appraiser mentioned paint splatters that could be cleaned. The piece was dated 1867 and had the foundry mark GS. It also won a gold medal at the Salon in Paris in 1867. The appraiser estimated its value at $4,000 to $6,000 at auction.
Stop.
Well, you better put it up on a pedestal now.
The guest was amazed and called it a doorstop. The appraiser suggested it should be displayed prominently.
That sounds good. That's very good.
These paintings were done by Frederick J. Brown, who was a friend of the guest from the late 1960s. Frederick Brown was born in 1945 in Georgia and was an African-American artist. He is known as an abstract expressionist painter, and he also did portraits that were stylish. Frederick was a big fan of jazz music, and this informed most of his works. At the back, the four paintings were inscribed to the guest with a title, Going Home, and was signed by the artist. Also, they're dated to 2010, and the artist added an instruction of how the paintings were to be arranged horizontally. Hence, these four paintings, arranged horizontally, are called quadriptych, or a four-panel work of art, and they are mixed media on paper. Frederick's works are in the collection of the Metropolitan Museums and other prestigious museums. Therefore, a retail value for these four pieces would be...
For these four pieces, as a complete set, retail value would be $20,000.
That sounds good. That's very good.
Pottery is not just functional. It can also be a deeply personal and artistic heirloom, carrying stories and memories through generations. A guest brought in a treasured piece of Rookwood pottery passed down through generations from her grandmother to her mother and eventually to her. She fondly recalled admiring its beauty and vibrant color as a child and has since cared for it meticulously. The appraiser identified the piece as a fine Rookwood pottery with a silver overlay by the renowned Gorham Silver Company, marked by an anchor. Dated 1903, the piece is later than typical Rookwood works, with a simpler design, but still notable. Decorated by Leona van Briggle, the sister of famed artist Artus van Briggle, the pottery carries historical significance. What makes the piece exceptional is its lack of crazing, small cracks that usually appear during the firing process, which has preserved its crisp appearance. Overall, the combination of its craftsmanship, history, and condition highlights its value as a remarkable piece of American art pottery. While noting the condition of the item, the appraiser said.
It's $1,500 to $2,000.
That's great. Thank you.
The guests brought in a scary but interesting piece of Weller pottery for appraisal. Weller was one of the many art potteries that operated in Zanesville, Ohio, and the guest is a member of the family. The guest's grandfather was a second cousin to Sam Weller of Weller Potteries, and he collected most of Weller potteries. However, this Weller Dickensware was purchased at an estate sale about 20 years back for $85. It was used to store smoking tobacco, but it was a good commentary, showing people the dangers of smoking. Besides the big skull, there is a small skull, placed as a covering on top, with the simple marking, Dickens Weller. The opening at the top is where you could put a sponge to keep the tobacco moist, and only about 5 or 6 of this item exist. Hence, for its rarity, it would be worth a round.
In the $2,000 to $3,000 range today.
You're kidding.
No, he is quite interesting and extremely rare.
Explore how Ruth Muskrat Bronson's legacy lives on through her cherished artifacts. This archive belonged to Ruth Muskrat Bronson, the great-great-grandmother of the guest, known for her civil rights activism, writing, poetry, songwriting, and education. She was a pioneering figure who made significant contributions to Native American rights. A 1923 photograph shows her at Mount Holyoke College, and another features her with President Calvin Coolidge at the White House, where she gave a speech and presented a book. The dress she wore in the photo is displayed here, and the moccasins were custom-made for the special occasion. Her speech addressed civil rights for Native Americans, challenging the prevailing Indian problem narrative, and advocating for equality and education. Ruth Muskrat Bronson lived in Washington, D.C., working for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and retired in Phoenix, Arizona, where she continued advocating for tribal water rights. Her work influenced laws protecting Native American rights, including the Native American Sovereignty Act and NAGPRA, NAGPRA. The moccasins feature intricate beadwork and are paired with a dress of deerskin and brain tan hides, showcasing exceptional craftsmanship and cultural significance. This is what the appraiser had to say about its worth.
This condition, and mainly because they're late, if you were going to see these things at auction, you'd expect them to bring $800 to $1,200.
Their true value, considering their historical and cultural significance, is a lot more.
For insurance, it gets more like $8,000 to $12,000.
Wow.
Today's exhibit features a beautiful silk dress. The guest received the dress as a gift from a friend who found it while cleaning out her mother-in-law's closet. James Galanos designed this breathtaking dress in the early 1950s, a true work of art. This style is known as the New Look, a revolutionary fashion movement launched by Christian Dior in Paris.
There's lots of fullness, and as you can see in this one, they've even added all these pleats to give it more fullness on the sides and the back of the skirt.
James Galanos was a renowned American fashion designer, celebrated for his exquisite and elegant designs that epitomized history and sophistication. He was one of the most prominent fashion designers of the 20th century, known for his high-end couture and attention to detail. Neiman Marcus was the retailer of this exquisite dress. Galanos' partisan fabric selections were always of the finest quality, with no compromise on yardage, giving this dress a value of
between $1,000 and $1,200.
Well, that's wonderful.
It's a beautiful example of his work.
Today's show features a particularly eye-catching item. The item originally belonged to the guest's grandparents.
He befriended a Ketchikan native there, and who I believe was the artist of this piece. I'm not positive about that, and he came home with this, and It's been in the family ever since.
First and foremost, this fascinating piece is a sculpture made from an Inuit whalebone vertebrae. Furthermore, the piece features 2 faces, carved on either side, visible when turned. Although discovered in Ketchikan, it probably came from a more northern region, potentially as far north as Point Barrow.
That's where you would more likely see the whales.
The exact age of the whale is uncertain, but the carving is from the 20th century. It's an outstanding sculpture and extremely hard to find. In a gallery setting, a piece like this would realistically be valued at.
I would expect to see it sell for $2,500 to $4,500. In a good showroom, I think it could go higher than that. It's a great piece.
This table's history is as rich as its craftsmanship. They found this table in their mother and stepfather's attic after they passed away. They were lucky to bring it home because Hurricane Katrina later destroyed their stepfather's cottage. The table also went through Hurricane Katrina at their own home and is now in rough shape. They had 14 feet of water reaching up to the second floor where the table was. The table is from the Paul Morphy Chess Club in New Orleans, where their father was a member. They remember visiting the club during Mardi Gras, and when it closed, their stepfather acquired the table. The table itself is interesting, but the engraved brass plaques are even more remarkable. These plaques list great chess players from the late 19th and early 20th centuries, starting with José Raúl Capablanca. They do not play chess, but they play checkers instead. They pointed out that New Orleans is known for jazz, but was also a significant chess town. Paul Morphy, for whom the club was named, was a chess genius from New Orleans. In 1859, Morphy played a game against 8 opponents simultaneously while blindfolded. Though it might be worth a few $100s as furniture, its historical value is from $3,000 to $8,000. Here is equipment owned by a pioneer physician who happened to be the guest's husband's great-grandfather. He was a country doctor who did a bit of everything, from taking deliveries to removing teeth and more. They are typical equipment that were used by doctors in the 19th century. Among the collection is a delivery kit with wooden handles around the 1850s, which were later turned to stainless steel. The saddlebag also housed medicines that the doctor would carry around in the mid-19th century. Also, a picture showing the great-grandfather, Arnold, and 2 other generations of physicians were brought alongside the equipment. A retail value for these items would be around.
Retail value, adding everything up, I think we have at least $1,000 worth of items here. So.
Really?
Explore how Remington's paintings fuse New York roots with dramatic storytelling. It is not sufficiently highlighted how significant Remington is for American painting. Although often associated with his sculptures and illustrations from the late 19th century, his connection to New York is profound. Born in upstate New York, he lived in Brooklyn and then New Rochelle, where he had a studio for 18 years. Despite his early travels to the West, starting in 1881, Remington always returned to New York to work on his drawings and sketches. He began as an illustrator, which sharpened his storytelling skills and is reflected in the narrative depth of his paintings. Although he had limited formal training, studying briefly at Yale and the Art Students League, his extensive experience in illustration and his natural talent were key to his success. This is what the guest had to say about his work.
A wonderful abstraction to his work, which attracts contemporary viewers as well as 19th century.
This particular painting, with its enigmatic background and stoic military figure, demonstrates Remington's dramatic flair and deep respect for his father's military career, making it irresistibly engaging. The guest brought 3 wristwatches for appraisal, a Bruce Lee watch, an Omega Seamaster watch, and a Rolex. There are different versions to the Bruce Lee watch. However, this one is probably the Bruce Lee model because it shows the day of the week in Chinese instead of English. But a Bruce Lee model didn't have the 5 spots, and although the guest purchased it for $1,400, a retail price would be $1,500. The Omega Seamaster watch has a fancy dial, but when opened and the watch begins to count, it is impossible to see it. Hence, there's damage to the top plating which is wearing off to show that it's not gold, but gold-filled. If this watch is restored, it could fetch around $500. Moreover, the last watch was an attempt by Rolex in the early 1970s to move away from tool watches to lifestyle watches. This Rolex was made in 1984 in gold, which is popular today. Therefore, the value on this watch would be...
Value-wise, if you had to go buy that watch that year, today, $5,000.
Whoa, that's huge. How much will my dad has spent on this?
He dropped the grand on it, for sure.
That's crazy.
A big wooden box that says Buffalo Bill, connotating the Buffalo Bill Wild West Cowboy Show, purchased 21 years back at an auction, is brought in for appraisal. It was made by the Haid Company, a prominent German manufacturer, and they made this kind of work in 1903. One interesting thing about this piece is the large set, and another good thing is that it was almost never played with and was in great condition. This is confirmed when you see it tied with the original little red string with the little paper cushions under each piece. A few years ago, one of these sets was sold at auction for $1,400, but it was fairly damaged. However, in today's market, this set, which was bought for $400, would be estimated at
in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $20,000.
Well, when my father-in-law came in for a visit and looked at it, he looked at it and said, "What'd you pay for it?" When I told him, he made one of those faces. Now maybe I didn't know what I was doing 21 years ago.
My mother would be turning in her grave with this.
A mysterious box in her mother's safety box deposit held a surprising secret. In 2001, after her mother passed away, she found a box in her mother's safety deposit box. Her mother was frugal, having grown up poor, despite later financial stability. She stopped in the Bronx while her father preferred Fifth Avenue. The box was an English silver piece made by Gerald Benny, a celebrated 20th century craftsman. Benny was known for modern designs, departing from traditional styles. He created new decorative schemes reflecting the period. The box features silver with 18-karat gold knobs and a distinctive textured finish, known as the Benny bark technique. Benny discovered this technique by accident, with a broken hammer leaving gouge marks on silver. The box has marks including Benny's name and indications of sterling and 18-karat gold. The radically finished underside is desirable for collectors. The box is hallmarked from 1972, with the date letter R indicating that year. Benny began making boxes in the 1960s. An identical box sold at auction in London for 2014 for £1,750.
Which would be around $6,000 at auction.
Right. Wow.
The box's value would be at auction between $5,000 and $7,000.
My mother would be turning in her grave with this.
A collection of photographs of different astronauts and autographs with strong provenance are brought in for appraisal. The guest's father was a manager of a hotel, Ramada Inn, partially owned by the 7 original Mercury astronauts, which made it interesting. There's a photograph of the guest's dad in front of the hotel with a signpost saying, "Try our corn sandwich, it's out of this world." Astronaut John Young wanted to get corned beef sandwiches into space, and together with the guest's dad, they planned the best way to do this. One of the aims of the Gemini 3 mission was to test different foods in space, but it didn't quite work out with corned beef as it disintegrated in space, leading to a congressional invitation. Furthermore, a letter was written by astronaut Alan Shepard to the guest's dad on the Ramada Inn stationery, requesting for a corned beef sandwich with bologna. Also, there are 2 photographs signed by Neil Armstrong to the guest's parents and himself. The Alan Shepard letter, written and signed on a letterhead paper, would be estimated at auction between $3,000 and $5,000. However, the 2 photographs with the earlier signature of the NASA background of Neil Armstrong have an estimate of $7,000 to $10,000, bringing the whole collection to an estimate between
around $40,000 to $50,000.
Wow. Wow.
Thanks, Dad.
This was a Christmas gift to the guest from his friend Chris Sedelmer, made by Jean-Michel Basquiat. It is an early piece from Basquiat from 1979, and it's accompanied by a picture that shows when the drawing was made, the date it was given to the guest, and the signature of the artist. Jean-Michel Basquiat was born in 1960 and tragically died in 1988. However, he has the most expensive works ever sold at auction, up to $110 million. This drawing is an oil stick on paper, and the artist was largely self-taught since he ran away from his parents as a young man. He was in league with artists such as Julian Schnabel, Keith Haring, Andy Warhol, and his work was fraught with signs and symbols. The crown in the drawing is popular with Basquiat's works, and this is original, hence a reasonable insurance value would be
$400,000.
That's good.
This collection belonged to the guest's grandfather, who was a carpenter in the 19th century. While picking coals on a train track, the grandfather slipped and the train cut his foot off. Then his father made him go up and down a ladder with a peg leg just above his ankle. Since he loved working with wood, he went on to learn how to make violins. He had a shop in Manhattan and would go to the Adirondacks, where they would wait for the trees to grow and create bows. With this, he carved a new foot for himself. At retail, this bow would be estimated at $4,000 because of its good condition. However, the violin is a master instrument, and alongside all the tools, pictures, and letters, a reasonable retail value would be.
You would add $3,000 to its value.
Oh my goodness.
In 1976, a brief meeting with Andy Warhol in Birmingham left this guest with this unique piece of art history. At the Birmingham Museum of Art, Warhol signed a copy of his book, The Philosophy of Andy Warhol, and added a sketch of his famous Campbell's soup can. Warhol, a major figure in the pop art movement, often used these book signings to connect with fans.
He did do these book signings regularly, so we do see many copies of either the book with a signature and a drawing.
Although the guest didn't enjoy the book and eventually gave it away, the signed page with the soup can sketch became a treasured memento. This simple drawing is more than just a signature, it's a piece of Warhol's iconic legacy. The personal inscription and the sketch made it a valuable piece and authentic part of Warhol's work. With many fake Warhol items out there, the genuine history of this piece makes it even more special. Today, the page from the guest's past, bearing Warhol's iconic art and signature, could fetch between
Today at $3,000 to $5,000.
That is totally amazing, totally amazing.
This collection, passed down through generations, hides a rich history. They inherited the items from their father, who got them from his father. The items had been in a basement for years, so they smell musty. The ribbons were used to bundle cigars and are called tobacco silks. The slippers are the most unusual, requiring many cigars to make. Women often made such items as part of their homemaking duties. The collection has Victorian graphics from around 1900 to 1910. These items are considered wearable collectible art and advertising pieces. At a vintage expo in California, the jacket and robe could sell for $1,200 to $1,500 each.
And the quilt would probably bring in the $2,500 to $3,500 range.
And the slippers, $300 to $350. The total value for all 4 pieces is about $6,800.
Very nice.
Today's guest brought in what the family has always called the chocolate pot. It is an item that was carefully displayed by her husband's grandfather. This item, however, is in fact not a chocolate pot, but a Pennsylvania Dutch coffee pot. It serves as a fine example of Pennsylvania Dutch tinware.
Dating from about 1860 to 1890, in that range.
A European folk painting technique known as toll was used in decorating it.
It is known as toll, and this is a European tradition of painting on tin and wood in this sort of whimsical folk manner.
Additionally, there's its vibrant red color, which is rare and makes the item particularly exciting.
Black is the most common in terms of the base color. So when we get examples of this really bright, vibrant red, we get excited.
Despite a minor dent in the finial and some varnishing, the coffee pot is still in remarkable shape. At auction, due to its excellent condition and the rarity, this well-preserved Pennsylvania tinware could be worth.
Looking at around $7,000 to $9,000 at auction. This is
a stunning Edwardian ring from the guest's great-great-grandmother, who died in 1912, was recently appraised. This platinum ring features a magnificent oval-cut sapphire surrounded by old European-cut diamonds. An Edwardian design is accentuated with milligram accents, fine platinum dots, enhancing its sparkle. Likely from around 1900, the sapphire is a key highlight of the ring. It may be from Kashmir, renowned for its exquisite sapphires from a brief but notable mining period in the late 19th century.
Landslide in the Kashmir region of India, and that landslide revealed sapphire deposits.
Polished to a brilliant shine after years of storage, the guest discovered this ring among family heirlooms. Origin and potentially Kashmir sapphire play a significant role in determining its value. If the sapphire is confirmed as a Kashmir gem, its auction value could range from,
And I think we're looking at somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The family passed down 2 exquisite Victorian silver pieces, recently polished to reveal their original splendor. Crafted by Charles Thomas and George Fox, this Rococo-style silver tureen bears London hallmarks from 1841. This ornate piece features flowing scrolls, seashell details, and a pomegranate finial symbolizing fertility.
This is that it's itself derived from an earlier design. This is absolutely Rococo in taste.
Its elaborate design, including an armorial coat of arms, suggested it was likely a wedding gift for a wealthy couple of the era, made by Alderman and Slater. The second piece is a silver ewer from 1883. This later piece stands out with its Gothic arches and a satyr mask, hinting at its intended use for wine. Uniquely adorned with genuine four-piece coins, the custom design is less common but equally as fascinating. Together, the Victorian silver tureen and ewer hold a collective value of.
The tureen should be valued at $20,000.
Notable artifacts from a Dutch Jedburgh, whose collections were pivotal, were part of the memorabilia. Each piece tells a story of valor and courage, reflecting the extraordinary role he played during the conflict. Notably, the collection included Special Forces insignia, including 3 distinctive wings. A deeply personal and poignant story accompanies the memorabilia. These insignia reflect the valor of the soldier who saved General Gavin of the 82nd Airborne during a crucial battle, Ari Besterbergi, the soldier who historically protected General Gavin during their landing in the war.
He spotted a machine gunist in the tree and shot him before the machine gunners had a chance to shoot General.
After decades of storage, these items were rediscovered, having been untouched for 25 years. The value of these pieces is substantial, with the 3 wings alone estimated at around.
I have in the neighborhood of $10,000 worth of cloth insignia right there on my table.
No way. That's amazing.
A collection of baseball cards, including Michael Jordan's rookie cards, holds sentimental and financial value. Featuring Michael Jordan in his second year, the set includes 2 86 Fleer rookie cards and an 87 card, with one being a sticker from the set. The 86 Fleer cards are especially coveted. These cards, part of the series released by Fleer in 1986, are valued by collectors for their rarity and historical significance. Bonding between school events, the guest and her son collected the cards during baseball card shop visits.
Well, we tried not to make it over $20
Okay.
a trip.
Okay.
Despite the modest investment, these cherished moments resulted in a surprising payoff. While the exact condition of the cards needs formal grading, their estimated value stands impressively high. A collective value of the Michael Jordan's rookie card is estimated to be between.
You can probably insure that one safely for $20,000 to $30,000.
Wow, I had no idea.
An antebellum slave journal meticulously documents the life of Creed from 1824 to 1860. It offers a rare glimpse into the daily experiences and personal history of an enslaved individual. Purchased for $50 in the 1960s by the guest's father, this journal details Creed's work and family life. It also details his time as a gardener in Washington, D.C. under slaveholder Daniel Graham. It also details vaccinations and personal biographies of over 70 individuals. Through these accounts, it unveils a more humane side of slavery that is often overlooked. This journal not only captures a vital piece of history, but also opens a window to the lives it recorded.
To follow through and try and find the families of the slaves.
Right.
From 1870 moving forward.
Today, this comprehensive document holds a significant historical value, estimated between.
I want this insured for in the kind of $25,000.
Okay.
The guest's vibrant oil painting by Helena LaFrance captures a nostalgic rural scene from her Kentucky upbringing. Acquired around 2014 or 2015, it reflects LaFrance's unique portrayal of her past. Helen LaFrance took up painting full-time in her mid to late 60s and lived a remarkable 101 years. Her memory paintings vividly capture the essence of her life in the rural South. Though Helen LaFrance began her artistic career later in life, her work eventually garnered significant acclaim. The surge in recognition was partially fueled by a documentary that brought her remarkable talent into the spotlight.
A number of big collectors as well as museums that have collected her work in the last few years.
This painting's charm and connection to LaFrance's life resonates strongly with the guest, who bought this piece for $1,300. Today, with heightened interest in LaFrance's work, this painting could fetch between.
If this piece were to be at auction, I think that the value would probably be $8,000 to $10,000.
Wow. Okay, good deal.
An exquisite 18-karat gold musical watch, adorned with a hand-painted porcelain enamel dial, features an early American flag. Originally estimated to be from around 1820, this watch is of French origin. A bull's-eye crystal and intricate galoche, meaning engine turned, engraving adorns the case of this watch. It features dual mechanisms for both timekeeping and music, adding to its exceptional craftsmanship. The piece was passed down through the guest's family, initially given to the guest's father by his grandfather, stored in a safety deposit box for 20 years. The watch surprised the guest by unexpectedly playing music when handled.
Now,
in 1991, the watch was appraised at a value of $2,500. Its unique features, including the flawless harbor scene and the American flag on the dial, suggest an auction value between.
an auction value today I would put on it with all these features on it. I think this watch would easily bring between $15,000 and $20,000.
Wow, that is quite the shock. It's been in the safety deposit for like 20 years.
A unique Alexander Calder sculpture, merging mobile and stabile features, was a 15th birthday gift for the guest in July 1969. Crafted by Calder himself, the piece reflects the renowned artist's innovative style. At age 14, the guest stayed with Calder's family in his French farmhouse studio, while Calder, despite Parkinson's, was actively working. Witnessed being created by Calder, the sculpture was presented during the boy's stay. Calder, a leading 20th century sculptor, known for his mobiles and stabiles, combined engineering prowess with his Parisian art influences.
And envision him cutting it out of a piece of tin, and then they're painted. It was a great.
This piece, bearing Calder's monogram, could be a maquette for a larger work, showcasing his distinctive style. To confirm its provenance and unlock the full historical value, it should be authenticated by the Calder Foundation. With its unique historic and artistic value, it is estimated at.
Setting, this would be $250,000.
Wow. Jeez, that's amazing.
A whimsical glass sculpture, shaped like a young chick, was designed in the 1960s. It came to the guest as a gift from her former mother-in-law, who brought it back from Italy. The piece was created by Alessandro Pianon, a young designer who joined the Vistori Glass Company in 1956. Pianon designed this charming bird, known as Pulcino, around 1963. Crafted from marine glass with a textured surface, achieved by rolling molten glass over bits of glass, its delicate yet sturdy copper legs add to its quirky proportions, giving it a distinctly 1960s playful feel. Despite being unsigned, as expected for this type of piece, it remains a highly collectible item. Much to the owner's surprise, this quirky little thing is valued at around.
Venue, this would sell in the neighborhood of $7,500.
Oh my goodness, that's a real shocker.
A quirky ceramic vase, dubbed the Ugly Vase, was bought 15 years ago for $580 from a Dutch dealer. Blending animal, bird, and female figures, the vase has an abstract design, making it a bizarre but intriguing piece. This vase was created by Jean Cocteau, a French artist known for his poetry, painting, and drawing. Cocteau was inspired by his friend Picasso, who began experimenting with ceramics in 1947 at a pottery in Vallauris. Following Picasso's lead, Cocteau began creating ceramic editions in 1957 and produced about 300 forms until his death. This particular vase, made around the 1960s, features removable horns, a strange and deliberate design choice. The vase is marked Original Edition from Jean Cocteau, Studio, Madeleine Joly, number 6 of 10. Though Cocteau likely didn't craft each piece, its auction value is estimated at.
Auction, though it is an edition, easily we would put this in at $10,000 to $15,000. Sorry.
A guest presents a model or maquette for a sculpture by the renowned 20th century American artist Alexander Calder. This piece was commissioned by the US government for the 1958 Brussels World Fair, highlighting its historical context. Calder brought the maquette to a Watertown, Connecticut shop to create the 22-foot full-size version. The guest's father fabricated Calder's design, which was shipped for the fair, later dismantled and recently redisplayed in Brussels.
I can remember standing next to the actual thing in the shop before it was shipped over.
Crafted from hammered aluminium and painted in black, the maquette was designed to rotate with a motor every minute. It's mounted on a carved wood base, characteristic of Calder's work. Despite its provenance, the appraiser advises getting authentication from the Calder Foundation. With proper verification, the maquette could be valued between
I think a conservative auction estimate at this time would probably be in the $50,000 to $75,000 range.
Really? Oh my. Oh my.
The guest brings a pottery piece purchased at an auction 15 years ago for around $350, thinking it was a rare Tiffany item. Tiffany's pottery, often used for lamp bases, led the guest to believe in this rare piece with its floral design. Flamme glaze and dripping details typical of Tiffany's ceramics gave this piece its Tiffany-like qualities. However, some elements stand out as atypical. Such floral design appears more French Victorian than American Art Nouveau that Tiffany was known for. More typical of French work from 2 decades earlier, the background scoring also adds to the appraiser's skepticism. While marked with LCT and FAL, the brown clay and painted rather than inscribed marks cast doubts on its authenticity.
The white that you were talking about that he did?
The white is actually a color added to this brown pottery, and then the mark is put over it so you can see.
If authentic, it could be worth $2,000 to $3,000. As a fake, though, its value is around.
The value perhaps is worth $25. I don't think it really has retail value because of the mark on the bottom. Maybe after you scratch it off, it'll be worth something.
Yes. Well, and guess what I'm going to do to this?
He found the chairs in a skip and learned about their wonderful past. These chairs, originally part of the boardroom furniture at Portsmouth Football Club, their design, with blue velvet and gilded details, reflects the era's grandeur. The circular backs and sturdy legs reflect Victorian or Edwardian craftsmanship, meant to impress. Their connection to Portsmouth FC adds historical significance beyond their craftsmanship.
On the front rather than casters, and if you swing it round, it has this rather nice wheel design on the back. So there's something going on.
Portsmouth chairs witnessed key decisions and appointments in the club's storied history. For collectors and fans, these chairs represent elegance and a link to Portsmouth FC's past. The appraiser valued them for their rich historical connection.
£2,500 for the whole set, because they're big, robust chairs.
It was handed down to him by his father, who had received it from his own father. Thea 1948 Qi by Shi ink drawing highlights the skill of a celebrated modern Chinese artist. Qi by Shi was known for his expressive brushwork of animals, flowers, and insects. This piece likely depicts shrimp, a symbol of resilience in Qi's work, hidden qualities, and movement.
Shrimp were one of his favorite subjects. Here he does them masterfully. When you look at it very closely, you can feel the resilience.
Qi by Shi uses black ink to capture the shrimp's delicate transparency with fluid strokes. His technique captures the essence and spirit of Chinese ink painting. The red seals and inscriptions signify authenticity and heritage. The essence of an age-old craft shimmered, and the appraiser valued the item.
I would be very comfortable placing an auction estimate on this drawing at $30,000 to $40,000.
You're kidding. Serious?
A fabulous Picasso painting has been in the owner's family since 1970. The guest hung it in the kitchen, unless she knew its importance from an art gallery.
$1,000. And the guy said, do me a favor, take it off the wall above the stove. So it had layers, I hate to say, of grease.
The name of the painting is Face in an Oval. Picasso did a lot of paintings like this one in his Medora studio and made 633 objects. There's a little bit of enamel loss, but otherwise it is in good condition and dates back to 1955. It's the 23rd of 100 pieces originally made by Picasso and bears a mark showing that it was made in the Medora studio. Picasso's market has skyrocketed in recent years. The guest had no idea what its value was and was surprised after learning its value.
Range of $10,000 to $15,000. I love you too.
That's fabulous.
That's fabulous.
On today's show, we will be showcasing a variety of items presented by several guests. The first item we have is a Moorcroft vase, dated from around 1962. The vase features rich, vibrant colours and detailed hand-painted designs, which are characteristic of Moorcroft pottery. Can you guess how much this beautifully designed vase is worth? Another item exhibited on the show is an Art Deco fan mirror. What makes this piece particularly interesting is that it combines elements of both a mirror and a fan. one is left to wonder how much this Art Deco piece would be worth. We also have a 3p coin from 1813. This coin was produced until 1817 to 1820 and features an embossing of a workhouse in Birmingham on one side. Next, we have a collection of Chinese porcelain dishes. These dishes were made during the Ming period, crafted from blue and white porcelain. If this collection were to come up at an auction, can you guess its estimated value? On today's show, we have a couple of sketches by Michael Jackson. The guest attended school with him in the 10th grade at a school in Encino, which had about 90 students.
Draw these drawings, and then he'd ball it up and throw it away. I asked him one day, I love that Charlie Chaplin drawing, can I have that? And he said, sure.
One of the remarkable things about these sketches is that Michael Jackson's signature is on both, and they are beautifully signed. One of the sketches depicts Charlie Chaplin, as throughout his life, Michael often compared himself to Chaplin. In 1995, he even recorded a Chaplin song called Smile in his album. The second sketch is a portrait of a woman who the guest later learned was Michael's tutor, who travelled with him on tour. These sketches are larger, very clear, and the signatures on both are in excellent condition. Due to the lack of comparable, the sketches would perform very strongly at auction, with an estimated value of
between $8,000 and $10,000 each.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you.
The guest, an avid collector of Chinese and Japanese stones, came across this remarkable piece while purchasing from another collector. This is a type of mushroom known in China as a lingxi. They come in various sizes and are ubiquitous in Chinese art. It appeared on porcelain jade carvings and paintings. Furthermore, the lingxi symbolizes long life and longevity and is believed to have medicinal properties in traditional Chinese medicine.
Example, because it has this fan shape, which is a little unusual, and it's got this wonderful kind of texture, this uneven, full.
The back of this particular mushroom features a distinct color, commonly seen on many mushrooms. However, this piece is a natural work of art, beautifully preserved by nature. Due to its rarity and the naturalness that's attached to such a work of art, it would be valued at
$800 and $1,200.
Wow.
Featured here is a truly exceptional piece of ceramic art in the form of a stunning vase. While browsing a local Goodwill with his wife, the guest spotted it on a shelf and was immediately drawn to it, leading him to make the purchase. This piece is a testament to the craftsmanship of the legendary Overbeck pottery. Their body of work encompasses several periods, with the late teens to early 20s being considered their golden age. This piece exemplifies the arts and crafts aesthetic with the use of conventionalized forms and motifs. A gorgeous repeating motif adorns this exceptional piece. The motif has been simplified to its most basic geometric form. At auction, it is estimated to fetch between
At auction, it would bring somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000.
Can't believe that.
I mean, it's a seriously good piece of Overbeck.
Presented here is a magnificent ring, a dazzling example of fine jewelry. This piece has a rich history, having been purchased by the guest's grandmother at a San Francisco jewelry store, circa 1920.
Quite taken with it, and she bought it. And she called it a poison dart ring, but apparently there are no darts involved.
Although styled as a Renaissance ring, this piece is actually the product of the Renaissance Revival era.
Place in England and Italy and other parts around Europe from between around 1860 through around 1900.
England is the probable place of manufacture for this piece. While it may not fire poison darts, this ring is indeed a genuine poison ring.
Here is an 18-karat gold ring, which is in the shape of a salamander or maybe some sort of a frog.
Rose-cut diamonds of assorted cuts are set into this ring.
Round ones and triangular ones and a pear-shaped one, and then it's got table.
Not only does the ring open, but the Tom's frog or salamander design is also nicely enameled on the inside with colored enamels.
Sure that it's a thumb ring. I suspect it might be a gent's ring. Men in the 19th century wore more jewelry than in the 20th century.
As a prime example of Renaissance Revival style, and considering its remarkable state of preservation, its value would be
jewelry. We feel that at auction, this ring would take an estimate in the range of $5,000 to $7,000.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's not for sale.